Welcome to Candid Creoles, where we elevate and celebrate Haitian excellence and friends. Today we have Marc-Arthur Pierre-Louis with us. Hello, Marc-Arthur, how are you?
I am doing fine, Isabel. You are looking fine, so I think we're all doing fine
Thank
after
you
the
so much.
problems that we had.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Marc-Arthur Pierre-Louis is a senior solutions architect experienced in developing application and some system software on various hardware and platform and operating system. He has over 25 years of experience in software development, architecture, design, and testing of networks. Mr. Pierre-Louis is also a pastor, a writer, a political commentator who has written extensively on Haitian issues on education, language, and technology, social and political issues, and who has published on social media online, Haitian forums, newspaper online such as Le Nouvelliste, Radio-Télévision Caraïbe website in Port-au-Prince, and amongst a few others. He's a fluent speaker of the English language, French, and Creole. And his recent books written in French and Creole, or just to name a couple, Parler à Paradoxe et Été Hexagonal, and you can find them all on Amazon. Amazon.com if you want to purchase his books. And Mr. Pierre-Louis has an undergraduate degree in mathematics and computer science and graduate degree in theology, specifically apologetics, and is currently consultant in information technology. He has traveled extensively for IBM across Europe, Asia, and Africa and North America, consulting with customers and speaking at technological conferences and events. And Mr. Pierre-Louis has taught at the University Lumière in Les Cayes in Haiti and has spoken at conferences on apologetics as well as conferences on Haitian issues. He has held various seminars in technology in Haiti, where he has mentored hundreds of young people. Mr. Pierre-Louis is a guitarist, and I think today we're going to have the pleasure to hear him play. He's a songwriter as well as a composer and an arranger who has won an award for his songwriting works and has produced several musical albums and singles. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you so much, Isabel, for saying all this. I didn't know it was that long. I would have cut it if I needed that.
Well, you are a man of many talents, so I wanted to make sure people can have an idea as much as possible of what you have accomplished, because this platform is really all about showing who we are and celebrating us and elevating us and our talent. So it's a pleasure to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And then we are not limited into language. We can go into French or Creole and get into the English. I don't know what your people, your audience wants. So want to please the audience. So whatever they want, that's what we'll do.
Yes, my audience is pretty mixed, because we have a lot of people from Haiti, originally from Haiti. We have people who are Asian descent that speak Creole, not French. And a lot of my audience speak English as well. We do have some non-Haitian also in the group. And when it will be posted globally on YouTube and other social media sites, of course, it will be open to all. So we can do a mixture of all the languages. I mostly do it in English, unless if the guest requests another language that I can speak in, then I will do that. So we can mix it up. That's perfect. So first, I always like to ask people, like, what's your connection with Haiti? I know you said you've done a lot for Haiti, but I just want the audience to know exactly where you came from in Haiti.
I was born in Port-au-Prince, but I spent my childhood in Latibonite, where my father was a pastor there. So my mom was a school teacher, so I went to their school, and then when I get to certificate, for people who understand what certificate means, basically end of primary school. So we went to Port-au-Prince, and then we've been to Port-au-Prince since then, going back for vacation in Latibonite, but stayed in Port-au-Prince until I left in 1981. So,
okay.
So around for a while.
Yes, yes. And you're currently in the US, in Florida specifically, right?
Yes, I'm in Florida right now. I was in Florida for a while, for a long time, for like 15 years, but I moved around, and then I came back last year.
Okay, okay. So where have you been? I know you traveled a lot. Did you travel? Did you relocate as well to, outside of the US?
No, I did not relocate outside of the U.S., but I was moved to Texas in 1995, and then I spent 8 years in Texas, in the Austin area, and then I left in 2004, went to North Carolina, Charlotte, stayed there until last year. So,
Okay,
been three
okay.
places.
Do you prefer Florida?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, I totally get it. And I know like you, the Creole language is very important for you. It's because you do a lot of work to promote the Creole language. Tell me more about that. And we can do that in Creole if you prefer as well.
Yeah, I can do it in both. As a matter of fact, that's out of the three languages that I speak fluently. Creole is the one that I speak best
Yeah.
because that's my mother tongue. My mother tongue, and then and then I grew to like it as a full fledged language. It was not always like that when we were going to school in Port-au-Prince. They were telling us that we should not speak Creole. As a matter of fact, we got punished when we speak Creole. They had a phrase that they used to say, le créole est formellement interdit dans la classe et sur la cour de l'école. They taught us to really dislike Creole, but it come to the place where when Creole got its full-fledged status of a language, and it didn't make sense for me to have my mother tongue and then I can't write it. So I started to write it, and then it's been a love affair since then. Creole là c'est lui-même qui langue préférée moi. À l'aise là-dedans, et tout ça me senti m'ka di là-dedans. M'ka di dans l'autre langue tout, mais dans Creole là c'est lui-même qui gagne une connexion depuis m'bot ko fait. C'est lui qui donc, donc ça créole là non moi-même, donc ça veut dire que je dois faire tout ça capable pour que créole là avance vers l'avant.
Bien sûr, bien sûr. Yeah, et définitivement d'accord avec vous parce que je songe là nous l'école Haïti parce que moi j'étais l'école Haïti tout et mais yo pas devait nous parler créole dans l'école là. They didn't want I went to a Catholic school and the nuns didn't want us to speak Creole. We had to speak French amongst us. We have to speak French. It's same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
C'est kounye que créole là yo tourner non langage, but à cause de cela, même moi capable dire et je ne parle pas créole aussi bien qu'un monde qui est Haïti. Je comprends créole, je parle créole, et quand il s'agit d'écrire créole là, l'homme besoin de faire traduction, et pour bagage créole, c'est toujours un ami qui fait traduction pour créole qui qu'on a aidé. Parce que je ne peux pas écrire. Mais écrire, j'aime parler là, mais c'est pas ça.
C'est pas ça. Mais les orthographe qui codifié, cela signifie que il y a une règle pour écrire.
Exactement.
Je pense que oui, l'or t'es éduqué en français, là difficile pour faire changement de français ou bien de anglais à créole, mais c'est un bagage qui mérite fait et m'encourage tout le monde pour faire. D'ailleurs, j'ai un livre que m'écrit qui est paracréolistique et il encourage le monde pour être capable d'écrire dans toutes les langues, mais principalement en créole.
OK. Donc, parlez-nous de livre ça, paracréole, parce que nous connaissons de livre paracréolistique là, exactement. Parlez-nous de livre.
Oui, bon. Paracréolistique, c'est un effort pour capable pousser créole là puis devant, mais pour utiliser et connaissances et tout travail comme on fait déjà. Ou pas obligé vouer français à jeter pour embrasser créole là seulement. Il y a un pile créoliste qui a une attitude ça, il y a une attitude de comme anglais a dit either or. c'est soit ou être dans français net ou pas dans créole du tout, ou bien ou choisir créole et puis ou rejeter français. Il pas fait comme ça parce que en pile dans nous-mêmes, nous faisons un pile de travail en français, qu'on le veut ou non, en français, nous aussi gagnons compétence là-dedans, nous qui à l'école Haïti, ou pas obligé de rejeter sur des gagnants pour capable embrasser créole là, ou capable pousser tous les deux à la fois. Donc, paracréolistique, c'est un effort pour capable montrer moun que créole là li en forme li ou capable faire toute bagaille là-dedans, OK, et mais comme gen moun qui pour capable connaît bah ça au fond ti parler français quand on connaît en Haïti comme ça lié avant moun là moun fait croiser avec vous par exemple, eh bien moun nan ils font pile bagaille en français et puis ils fin habitué avec vous et puis nous en créole. Donc pas que si fait comme ça tout, OK, gon introduction qu'on fait en français qui est censé et c'est comment on l'a dit abstract, OK, ou fait en français bien en bon français et puis après ça vous pourrez entrer qu'on y a en créole pour développer idée côté annoncé dans français et c'est un monde qui écrit en français, OK, et sous qui te créole là ou pas que la donne c'est Pierre Louis parce que créole là non même déjà ou t'a surprendre pour et production, volume production capable de faire en créole, l'on commence à habituer avec lui pour que comment bagarre a une aisance d'écriture lorsque vous commencez à écrire en créole là, ou pour le oh, c'est comme ça c'est facile et pour le comment vous capable de mettre bête à terre aussi bien en créole qu'en français. Donc paracréolistique là c'est un effort pour capable encourager les gens qui éduquent en français ou en anglais puis et approprier de créole et puis capable commencer à écrire et produire en créole.
Yeah. Bon, de toute façon, c'est comme toute l'autre langue, là où tu prends temps pour étudier l'anglais, ou est capable d'écrire, ou est capable de parler. Il juste à prendre un petit temps. Vous comprenez parce qu'on pas étudier là-dedans, ou pas jamais faire, donc là, pour un petit temps pour apprendre, comme toute l'autre langue. Mais si c'est, yeah, c'est ça. Donc, si n'importe qui est intéressé, définitivement, le livre ou a aidé, pour poursuivre et voir ça, c'est ça.
Yeah. Alors, le livre est écrit en français, bien entendu, et écrit en français, et puis avec des illustrations et puis des exemples qui fait en créole, bien entendu.
Okay.
Parce que, en principe, cible, ça, nous que nous ciblons dans le livre-là, c'est les gens qui éduquent en français, qui recevoir l'éducation en français pour nous capables d'encourager, pour nous capables de mettre connaissance que vous gagnez en bête, que vous gagnez pour capable de mettre en créole. Parce qu'en principe, gagnons un problème en créole, je dis, le problème qui est en créole, c'est que nous pas gagnons un volume de livres classiques et puis scientifiques en créole, OK? Donc, mais par créolistique, si on gagne compétences en français ou bien en anglais, et vous voulez, eh bien, faire le don de savoir-faire à jeunes haïtiens, bien, ou bien intérêt à faire en créole tout, de sorte que moun yo ka bénéficier. Gagne un étudiante dans l'université Duke University, ils font toller ça gagne peut-être 5 ans de cela lorsque il t'a étudié dans Duke et étudié créole et puis le t'a écrit thèse li, il écrit thèse en créole. Donc c'était vraiment
comment que le est OK.
Non, mais je cherche pour me faire jeune parce que
bien sûr.
C'était un bagage qui était vraiment étonné.
C'est intéressant et ça le fait.
C'est ça, très intéressant. Mais l'autre bagage comme deux dit que là tout parce que gagne un pile grand centre d'études ici, on a parlé de Indiana University, on a parlé de Gainesville, on a parlé de MIT. Peut-être que il y a pile monde qui a fait études, qui a fait recherche en créole, qui a produit en créole. D'ailleurs, il y a un ami qui dans MIT, qui est Michel Degraff, qui est malade pour créole là lui-même.
Ouais, c'est vrai.
Monsieur fait un pile travail dans créole là pour capable éduquer les gens en créole, puis capable faire STEM, sciences, technologies, engineering et mathématiques en créole. Et je crois que la fait tout essai ça en Haïti, donc c'est un bagage qui a encouragé. Donc, université ici, reconnaît l'importance créole là et qui avance qui fait un créole là. Et en plus, haïtien, pas reconnaître ça. Donc, nous pensons que il faut haïtien connaître ça, que créole là a monté terrain, créole là valé terrain, et nous-mêmes qui haïtiens, nous besoin de balle j'arrête pour l'avancer plus devant.
Donc, c'est nous-mêmes, définitivement d'accord à ça dire, parce que, jusqu'à ce que moi, ouais, et ça, des graphes à faire dans MIT, je pas penser que l'on est arrivé dans l'université ici.
Oh,
Donc, parce que même petit moi qui dans l'université, les entré à ça, et puis, si mon maillot, me fait, tout le temps, dit, me fait, ça, si mon maillot, c'est anglais seulement, yo parler. Et, yo, en plus, nous-mêmes, et bon, ma transmet même, ça me fait, hein, et, Kounia me dit, c'est dommage, je ne vais pas apprendre, so Kounia, puis, yon nan ti moun dit, maman, dans l'école, moi, on faut prendre langue quand même, so c'est créole. Je dis, yo, bah, créole dans l'école, moi, dit, oui. Ça t'est très étonné. Donc, moi, ouais, créole blanc, créole, on commence concours d'y faire, j'arrête. Et pour la, épanoui dans l'école aux États-Unis.
Absolument, absolument. Et moi-même, à te dire vrai, pas de jamais un complexe que tu essayé de faire nous développer en Haïti. Parce que, je dit, nous, l'homme qui lit créole en Haïti, c'est des gens qui ne pas de lire du tout. Je t'ai fait un série de petits journal pour les gens qui ne pas de lire. Et puis, ils ont fait un alphabétisme. C'est des gens qui étaient grands monde qui ne pas passer l'école et puis ils ont enseigné le créole là. Et donc, en Haïti, c'était une sorte de stigmate. Depuis que on a appelé créole, je te dis, ça va pas lire. Donc, c'est comme ça, mais je dis, elle pas comme ça encore. Il va comme ça encore. Il y a une production sérieuse qu'a fait en créole. Et moi-même, l'homme qui est sorti à Haïti, ici, par exemple, qui était des noms français quand même, et des liens en pile français, tout ça me fait. Créole, je ne pas lire du tout. Mais même pas de jamais développer complexe ça que en pile haïtien gagne parce que moi-même l'homme vient en Floride ici en Floride Floride moi je ne pas parler français du tout. Cela signifie que je suis obligé moi-même c'est dans mon anglais à me laguer moi pour me prendre anglais. Ensuite et puis tout le monde que me en contact avec eux c'est en créole nous te communiquer mais même pas de jamais pour en français comme un bagage qui différencie de mon pour parler français par exemple. Donc, on est dans un environnement côté que c'est créole qui a parlé, donc en langue, c'est un véhicule de communication. Et donc, c'est dans la langue où on a parlé à ça pour aider. Donc, c'est ça que j'ai toujours fait. Donc, je pense que il te permet que moi-même pas vraiment développer complexe ça que mon gagne le parler français bien.
Yeah, je comprends ça dire parce que mais ça dépend de l'environnement que vous y parce que il y a des gens que on capable prendre même comme exemple par exemple moi l'homme vient aux États-Unis et l'environnement c'est totalement anglais donc si mon moi automatiquement tout le monde moi kembe en anglais malgré me toujours pour faire pour mettre des fois parler ni français ni créole. Parce que pour l'homme à parler avec un monde dans l'autre langue, ou bien l'homme nous parti voyager à Haïti, whatever côté nous parler, qui parle ou bien français ou bien créole, que capable de comprendre l'anglais. Mais, quand vous avez qui dit, Sandra, you got to choose your battle. So, ou pas voulez faire ça, ou choisir l'autre bagage ou faire, donc c'est ça. Si vous-même, vous voulez apprendre, vous êtes capable d'apprendre, parce que vous capable de pratiquer ni créole là avant, pratiquer ni français avant, si vous décidez de faire ça. Donc, pour le moment. Yeah, c'est ça.
Très bien, mais moi-même, ça qui arrive tout, parce que l'homme t'a quitté. Nous avons évolué dans l'église haïtienne ici en Floride de 81 jusqu'à 95. Ok, le petit monde est fait. Il était venu dans l'église créole là tout. Il était commencé tant des créoles, mais lorsque nous déplaçons, qu'on est en Texas, nous fait 8 ans Texas, il n'y a pas tant de créoles là du tout. Mais là, nous retournons en Caroline du Nord, dans l'autre église haïtienne côté créole à parler, qu'on a Timounio vient embrasser créole là, vient embrasser identité autour, parce qu'en principe, créole là, c'est son marque identité alliée. Donc, il embrasse créole là et il parle créole là, ok? Mais ça intéressant aussi avec créole là, et que Timounio pas en plus, monde pas comprendre ici, c'est que en Haïti, comme haïtiens nous-mêmes, nous sommes capables aisément trilingues. Nous parlons anglais, nous parlons français et nous parlons créole. Pour certains, nous parlons créole. Mais même bilingue là déjà très intéressant. Lorsque un est capable de parler une autre langue, si on est capable de parler créole par exemple, si on est bilingue, c'est déjà une avance que le fait sous condiscipline parce que lui-même il a l'autre langue que le tendait et ça aussi ouvre l'intelligence et ça bon en pile en plus l'attitude, lorsque vous avez deux langues qu'on peut parler, et majorité des Américains, m'a dit 90%, sont, I pull this number out of my hat, but 90% m'a dit Américains sont sur la langue parlée. Ils sont monolingues.
Ils ne sont pas intéressés par les autres langues.
Non, mais c'est une marque d'intelligence que l'idée, l'on capable d'évoluer dans plusieurs langues. Donc, si nous fait pour capable comprendre ça. De toute façon, nous ne pas vivre le sujet ça là parce que.
Oui, bien sûr. Nous fait base là, on a passé. Mais, ou livre ou écrit, ou bien les pieds écrits en créole, parce que un livre ou bien écrit les quelques follow-up qui se a, ça c'est en créole écrit.
Exactement. Bon, livre ça ou pas dans Amazon qu'on y a non, mais bien quelques qui.
Moi te joindre, pas soucier qui est-ce que me te joindre à Amazon. C'est pas tout dans Amazon.
OK, d'accord. Oui, quelquefois qu'est-ce qu'il y a, c'est une illustration de la part créolistique parce que il écrit majoritairement en créole, mais les introductions, etc., les résumés en fait en français. C'est un livre qui est intéressant parce que il est capable de l'autre ouverture non l'autre sujet parce que ça me fait quelquefois c'est qu'on là que me dérivé aller faire quelques bagarres en Haïti. Malheureusement, l'environnement n'a pas prêté là ça qu'on y a, mais on a fait un peu de recherche et aller juste en Chine même, à regarder dans le domaine d'énergie, regarder dans le domaine informatique, qui ça qu'a fait. Et puis, quelques follow-up qui y a, et c'est un livre qui est censé faire une sorte de historique de toute voie, ça qui ça me fait là-dedans, qui ça me fait Haïti, etc., et rencontres et tout ça. C'est une sorte d'histoire des voyages que j'ai fait en Haïti et en Chine pour faire développer une plateforme pour être capable d'aider Haïti. Voilà.
OK. Moi, Gina pose une question. Gina dit que le pas qu'attendre, so m'a demandé et si personne pas qu'attendre ou bien c'est Gina seulement. OK. Pas comprendre pour qui ça Gina pas qu'attendre. Donc, de toute façon, si parce que Gina, m't'a regardé si nous pas une question sur Facebook et puis Gina écrit que il pas qu'attendre. Donc, de toute façon, que nous gagnons enregistrement qu'a fait, soit après ça, nous allons poster sur Facebook. Si les patients pas capable pour nous continuer. Ouais.
Peut-être que Gina est capable de sous mute, pas mute, capable de turn off dans le computer. Si l'attendez dans le computer, par contre, l'attendez.
Oui, parce que moi, attendez, il est là. OK.
Yes.
OK. Oui, donc, et puis, moi, bon, ouais, kounia m'entendez voix m'konko écho. Tout à l'heure. Me fermer ça. Parce que m'pas gagner écho tout à l'heure. Donc, depuis, où c'est pasteur tout, et où c'est pasteur en Floride.
Bon.
Ou bien en l'église, ou bien, comment est?
Pas en l'église, kounia, non? M'te aidé dans l'église en Caroline du Nord, kounia là, moi ici, même pas en l'église, non, justement, et là, on invité mon côté, mon côté. Donc, c'est un électron libre.
D'accord, parce que moi, quand ouais, ça vraiment, l'homme qu'on a dans différentes églises. Moi, grandi catholique, mais l'homme vient ici, nous sommes calés dans n'importe l'église. Je dis, bon Dieu, bon Dieu, tout côté, pas attaché à la religion. Donc, nous, qu'on a dans l'autre l'église, nous toujours un pasteur qui peut venir comme invité, vraiment. Donc, c'est comme même bagarre qu'on fait. Alors, c'est ça.
Exactement. Yep.
D'accord. Donc, qui ça qui t'a fait entrer dans la théologie? Qui ça t'a influencé?
Une très belle question. Bon. Papa, c'est pasteur. OK? Papa, c'est pasteur. Donc, levé dans une famille protestante, famille chrétienne, je dis. Et même pas de gens intéressés à aller dans le pastorat. Mais l'homme en Floride, m'avait évolué dans de l'église, il y a demandé au prêcher, etc. Donc, c'est une sorte de un sens pour capable faire une préparation. Bon, on a commencé même pas continuer. Et puis, le mal Texas avec IBM, pas continuer. Même moi, le sac fait m'entrer. Le pasteur, belle question posée là. Bon, il y a une raison qui fait m'entrer dans un pastorat, c'est parce que nous devons dans position pour me capable aider Haïti. Et lorsque dans le ministère, ou gen moun qui travaille avec lui, ou capable influencer moun sa yo, capable inspirer moun sa yo, ou capable aider dans ce sens-là. Haïti, c'est une raison qui fait d'aller, mais il y a une raison qui fait décidément rentrer. C'est un bagage qui est arrivé papa en Haïti. Papa a préparé une conférence, et puis monsieur, et on connaît a préparé une conférence, donc il y a un corps qui est entré vers ça pour faire préparation vers ça. Et puis, là, ça monsieur était dans l'Artibonite, et puis, et un volet qui est entré la Kaili, et puis volet a sorti pour un corps de ça, volet a tiré lui, et puis monsieur pas mourir non mais il courir le cacher en bon pont et puis balle la passer dans poitrine sorti mais il va mourir mais c'est un catalyseur qui te fait entrer parce que nous te dit bon si monsieur était mort là donc monsieur va bien satisfaction pour lui entrer dans le ministère donc ça te fait que moi et continuer études moins et puis entrer et dans le ministère, mais avec l'idée que Haïti toujours sous que moi et j'ai un bagage que je faire en Haïti. Donc c'est une expérience traumatique, mais quand même voilà comment je suis entré.
D'accord, d'accord. Et pour spécialiser dans apologétique, pour ça c'est ça dans ça spécialement où aller?
Très belle question encore. Et apologétique c'est une défense de la foi. Défense de la foi.
Ouais, ouais.
Et soit défendre la foi ou besoin préparer en conséquence. Parce que nous sommes toujours dans l'aile, il y a une sorte de mariage entre la foi et la science, etc. Et apologétique lui-même, il utilisait un pile technique philosophique, par exemple, leur faire apologétique ou étudier philosophie, étudier un pile défense de l'existence de Dieu et théodicée qui raison.
La justifier doctrine religieuse là.
Exactement. Donc c'est toujours utiliser toute connaissance qu'on gagne pour capable de faire une défense qui est acceptable. Donc c'est ça qui fait me entrer dans le domaine ça qui que me bien apprécié, enjoy. Nous pas obligé d'être en créole là, mais nous capable.
Okay, we can speak English. That's fine. No, we can switch it back and forth. Because like I said, there are people who will not understand the Creole. So we can discuss whatever you say in Creole. If you want to repeat it in English, we can.
Absolutely. I hope I'm not going to bore people to death by just repeating myself. No, I don't know.
Well, you've been doing very well so far. You've repeated yourself before, and it was the same context, but said in a different way. So it was really well done. So they're not going to be able to do that. Definitely.
So you asked me why I was interested into the ministry. I explained that my father, he's a pastor, and he was preparing a conference, and then some thief came in, broke into his house, and they shot him. Thank God he didn't die, but he hid under a bridge.
That was in Haiti, right?
I was in Haiti. So he hid under the bridge, and then the guys looked for him, and they couldn't find him. So he didn't die. And then I was preparing myself, already taking some courses remotely. And then I said, well, I thought to myself, man, if your father died, then he would not have had the blessing of seeing you into the ministry. So that was the clincher. I went in there, and I was ordained. And I finished my schooling in apologetics. You said, why apologetics?
Yeah.
I said, I wanted to always stay in the intelligent and the scientific realm. You could explain God's existence, through philosophy, which is part of apologetics. And I was able to study apologetics, a lot of philosophy. And now I can defend the faith, but
the faith.
I don't hit people on the head with things I know. I try to level with people that I meet. It's not always to push what you know. It's a conversation that you have with people. We all come from some perspective, and we can share. There's a lot of things that we can share. So I'm a different pastor, and you know, I don't present myself as a pastor. I let what I do speak for me. You know, loving people, being respectful to people, not trying to project yourself as the most intelligent person. And I think I get along fine with people, and I have a lot of non-Christian friends, and we get along fine too.
So when you are invited as a guest to a church to you preach, so you preach really in that context because that's your specialty.
Well, yes and no. It all depends on what they ask me to talk about.
Okay.
And nowadays, since I've taken a liking to the Creole language, when I speak in Creole, and you know, I use our proverbs that are very, very meaningful. There's a lot of philosophy into our proverbs.
Yes.
You wouldn't believe that. I could give you a quick example, right? You probably heard of Descartes, René Descartes. I think, therefore I am. Okay.
Yes.
Donc, je suis.
Yes, sir.
In Creole.
And that's also from the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah, you know the Bible too. Yes. As a matter of fact, yes. I mean, God was telling Moses, "I am that I am. Je suis. Je suis celui qui s'appelle Je suis." Et puis, Christ même tout, il dit ça. When he was talking to the Jews, he says, "Before Abraham was, I am." So the I am of Descartes, you know, is pretty much just the same I am for Christ. And philosophy, that is known as ontology, what it is to be.
The science of being.
Yes, science of being. So that was an ontological statement that we have from Descartes and from Christ. But in Creole, we have our own ontology. Because when they ask you, comment y est? Okay, qui sont répondre, moi là, je suis. Okay, moi là. This is an ontological statement that we do that every day. There's no day that goes by without us using that statement, moi là. Voilà. And then when we talk together, we as Haitian, en tant qu'Haïtien, on dit mon comme ça, ah, ou c'est moi c'est où.
Moi c'est où.
Okay, this is still philosophy. This is still ontology, right? I am, you are me, and I am you. And but then it goes even further. It goes even further because there is something that we say in Creole. It says, nous dit comme ça, c'est où, c'est moi tout. Now this is different now. This is an ontology, but it is an ontology of opposition. I define myself as your equal, but you don't mess with me, because if you mess with me, I'm gonna mess with you. There is something in English called MAD, mutual assured destruction. It was when in the Cold War, when the U.S. had its ballistic missiles, and then the Soviet Union has their own, and since we could destroy each other, then we know that we should not mess with each other. Right?
Mess with each other. Exactly.
So the same too in Creole, it's something like that. I define myself by opposition to you, or you define yourself by opposition to me. So a lot of things in Creole.
We definitely have a lot of sayings in Creole that are so deep.
Very deep.
You know, that are very, very deep and very meaningful. But we say it in the everyday language, not thinking of the depth that's behind it. You know, like one that comes to mind is Demun Gemun.
Demun
Gemon. Yeah. You know, so it's like, but when you think about it, Demun Gemon, it's like that's to me that's huge. It's like I see it in a way, and I don't know, my perception may be different than yours. I don't know, because we have to leave a sacred path for different perception as well, the way I look at it, because people perceive things differently.
Well, we do, but there's a common ground that we have in there.
Yes,
When you say there mon, it means that you can never be the top dog. There's always somebody that is better than you. There's somebody that can do it better than you, and that person is going to find somebody who is better than him. So
yes.
we don't have a corner on knowledge, because we can learn from each other, because we should not be too proud of ourselves, because somebody can humble ourselves because they may know better than us, pretty much.
And that's exactly where I was going with that. There is humility in that.
Yes.
It's like, and very often we forget that. We forget that the power in being humble,
Yes.
because of our human side, which is normal. It's we all have that human side. But when what you just say, it's so true. It's like you could be whatever you are. There is always somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because, and then also wherever you are, you're standing on the shoulders of giants as well. Those
Yes.
who came before you
Yeah.
is how you
Absolutely.
got here.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You are so right. Yep.
yeah,
Demon. Yep.
yeah. Exactly. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So you are a man of many talents, and you have also written in online for some newspapers, like Haitian newspapers as well. So you want to tell us how did that start? How did you develop that into that as well, or do you still do
Yes.
that? I should ask.
I do. I do. I tend to write more in Creole now because I have a vested interest in leaving something for the generation, something of worth, something that has some meaning to it. I think, and at that stage. But how I became a writer? I became a writer because I was a reader. Um, if somebody read a lot, you are a writer without even knowing it. So when I was in Haiti, I read a lot. I used to, and all my sisters, we were like that. We read a lot of books, and we would basically spend the night reading the book. When we got a book, when you latched onto a book, we don't let go of it until we exhaust
You
the
don't want to
book.
go to sleep at night. You want to finish the book.
Yeah, exactly. So I always knew that I could write because I read a lot. So when I came here, I went into technology, doing the computer science and mathematics. There was not a lot of opportunity to write. But when I got into theology, I got back into my writings side. I started writing a lot. Because you have to write a lot of papers. But I'm pretty at ease when I'm writing. So it's because what I read stayed with me, and that's why I write, because I read a lot, and then I went into theology. I wrote a lot of paper. When I was doing my thesis, I translated Laennec Urbon. He wrote a book called Dieu dans le vaudou haïtien,
Mm.
and I translated that book from French into English, and then my thesis was on that. So I love writing. So
Why did you choose that book?
um, why did I?
That's an
That's a
interesting title.
well, yeah, it is. And Laennec Ubon, what he was trying to prove in his book was that the people who are voodooists, they also appeal to God, and he was trying to unearth their use of God in the voodoo system. He was saying that they don't use it into the everyday into the everyday services, but yet God is the archetype, is the one that is behind everything, and the voodooists acknowledge that God is there. So he did a lot of work to show that.
That's what the book was about. Got,
Yes.
got it. And why did you choose that book as a pastor?
As a pastor, well, as it was by I would say by necessity, because as an apologist, you always try to find other worldviews to compare and contrast with the Christian worldview.
Okay.
And so that was an opportunity for me to do that, to look at voodoo as a system, as a worldview, and see and then use Lanek Rubon's book as a basis, and then compare and contrast voodoo with the Christian faith.
Okay, so it's as if what I'm hearing you say, it's as if you use that to justify the faith of to justify basically the religious doctrine that you follow.
Not necessarily. It was as an apologist, you are looking at all the belief systems, okay, and then see what they do, how they view God, and whether their view of God is correct or not, or whether it lines up with your view of God. But that's a very complex endeavor that you do, because there is, in Christianity, there's something called general revelation. General revelation holds that everybody has access to God.
Yeah.
God reveals himself to everybody. Okay. The Christian faith has some particularities. They say that Christ is the way to God, but I believe that, when God reveals himself to others, he makes a way for them to know him. And then that's a pretty heavy topic. We don't have time to.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I wanted to touch on that because I found the book interesting, and that it was interesting to me that you chose that book to work with. So that was interesting, but that's definitely a heavy topic that can take longer. And we do have time for you to play for us today, right?
Yeah, but I can try to play something. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So what type of music do you play?
I play all kinds of music. When I was growing up in Haiti, I took a liking to Amos Coulange, who is a classical guitarist. So I did some classical guitar in Haiti. When I went to school here, I took some classical guitar courses too. But I was in Christian band, so we did some rock and roll. We did some jazz. We did some compa. I'm not as good a compa player, but I can play compa too. So I play some jazz. So I have a hodgepodge of stuff that I can do on the guitar.
Okay, that's nice. That's really nice. And you traveled so much when you were for work. Do you play also when you travel? Do you travel with your guitar?
Yes and no. I was at IBM from 1995 until 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I no longer work for IBM. I work for another company. But I went to a trip into Morocco. There was a World Cup for programming World Cup in Morocco, and I was there, and I played my guitar there because I played for the geeks. You know who was a geek?
No.
Or nerd.
Oh, a nerd. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about a band at first. I'm saying, no, I don't know that band. But yes, I know what a geek is. Yes.
Yeah. So I played for the geeks. I wrote a song, as a matter of fact. I wrote a song that I played at that World Cup. The song name was Geek is Chic.
Geek is chic?
Geek is chic, yes. To be geek is chic, yeah. It was a play on geek and chic. So
interesting name. Yeah.
That was what we did. So yeah. So when I played with some guys at IBM when I travel, but it was not something that I did a lot of times.
Okay.
But I did occasionally. Yes.
Definitely understand that. So I know you were you knew with our group, and you just invited you in the group last week. I don't know if you had a chance to understand what we do in the group, because the whole point, and I spoke with you before this conversation as well, why I started this group is to elevate us and to celebrate us. And we're taking it to the next level now with Candid Créoles, which is this platform where we have conversation that we're going to post on other platforms, because we want people to get to know who we truly are. Because as you know, the narrative about us is not the greatest in the world, and we do have trouble at home, and we want to make sure that not just us, but people know who we truly are is not what they say we are. Let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. So what are your thoughts about the group? I always like to ask people, because I always seek to grow and to bring more value to our group, because as I said, everybody in the group is like family members, and we all compatriots, whether we are related somehow, like we were saying earlier, we're all the same. We're all the same. So what are your thoughts about
my thoughts are I have a mouthful to say when it comes to that, as far as our relationships with each other, and our contributions to the well-being of Haitians in general, and to Haiti. I was going to go back to Haiti in 1989, the 90s, 1989. After the Duvalier left,
Yes.
and somebody advised me against going there, and I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't, because looking at what happened there, a lot of things, weren't done right. So would have been probably a waste. So what I advise others, I mean, what you guys are doing is fine. It is fine. And you are basically building up each other to as a group, and to be strong together. We have a motto in Haiti called "L'union fait la force." Okay.
Yeah.
It is a pity that motto is pretty much a contradiction to what we are as a people, because we don't band together. So
we do not embody that model.
No,
back home. That's why Haiti is where it's at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So but having said that, I think it's to grow wherever you are.
Yes.
Don't try to help Haiti when Haiti is not ready for that help. When I say Haiti is not ready for that help, is because a lot of people try to do whatever they can, and they try to kill themselves to go there, and then it's a big disappointment because the people are not ready for them. A lot of people in Haiti, and I love people from Haiti, but when they look at the diaspora, they don't give you a lot of leeways to really come in and make changes to the country. So the situation is such that we need to care for ourselves. We need to be strong together. And then when we are strong together, they're going to come back for us. What they want, they're going to come back for us. Look at Naomi Osaka, for example. Naomi Osaka, right? She is well liked over there because she has achieved. Same thing with Wycliffe, right? Wycliffe was at a time, at a point where the young Haitians, they looked up to him because he has achieved. So I think we need to achieve. So what you're doing is good. You need to encourage the Haitians to be excellent where they are, and when they achieve, then people will know them and people will come. People will ask them for their help. But until then, they're not gonna come to you. But do you first. Do you wherever you are, and then the rest will take care of itself.
Yes, thank you for that. I did have one of our guests, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Marina Gog from Haiti, and she was saying the people, the youth of today, they don't have a model. They don't have the model that we had, because if you look at the past 36 years, 35 years, and even in 89 when you were going to go, those kids, those babies were being born at that time, what do they have as a model? It was a country that was going down, and that so they don't really have a model to follow, like you said, like Wycliffe came from where he came from. When you hear his story, and then look at where he's at today, you know. So it's really amazing. So I totally understand what you're saying, and I appreciate that, because people need to follow a model, and we need to be models of each other.
Exactly. We need a lot more success stories that we can
Yes.
take to them, you know.
Yes.
If you achieve, I'll give another example, right? Daniela Ferrier
Yes.
is
You're a writer. Yes.
yeah, he's a writer.
Fantastic writer.
He was inducted into the Académie Française. Now he's in the academy, so he's
Yes.
achieved. Okay, and now people respect him for that. Okay,
Yeah.
so you got to do you first. You got to achieve, and then people will give you your due. So let's build a lot of models like that. You know, let's build young Haitians. You know, I encourage young Haitians, if you want to represent Haiti into your discipline, like if you do sports, right? You want to represent Haiti, go for it. You can do that, because they love that, and they'll love you for it. But until you put yourself into a position where people are looking up to you, then they don't really care for much for you. So let's do.
You're not ready to hear you. You're not ready to hear you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and I totally get that. I totally get that. So so where do you see yourself 5-10 years from now?
Oh, that's a good. I don't know. It's I'm still trying to put together systems where I can help Haiti. You know, whenever the time comes.
When the time comes, you'll be ready.
I'll be ready for that. So I encourage people. You know, I stay in technology. You know, I participate into think tanks. You know, and forums where we're discussing about Haiti issues. So I care, and I try to do what I can. But you know, I need to understand that we need a lot more weight to be able to make a difference. Because I say that because nobody can care for Haitians like Haitian can. We cannot rely on others. Others are going to do themselves while they're helping you. So we are the best to help Haitians, but yet we need to care for ourselves. You know, when you are in a plane and giving you the instructions in the plane, they say that if you are putting a mask on, put your mask on first before you help somebody else put their mask. Okay, so we got to be here. If we're here for a reason. We're here. We have a lot of opportunities. Let us not waste those opportunities. I mean, when you compare what you have here to what people are in Haiti, you are very, very blessed. Then you should not. We should not.
Take it for granted. Do not take it for granted.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes, because when I look at that, when I look at those people who are those I don't know the numbers anymore, because nobody knows really the real number at the bridge in Texas. And I'm saying so many of us, it could have been any of us. We're no different than them. It could have been any of us if we were back home and we're trying to get a better life for ourselves.
Yep.
Then we are fleeing violence and killings, and so it could have been any of us.
And don't get me wrong. Now, the people of Haiti are beautiful people. You know, they have their own problems, but you know, it's the politicians that are really messing up the country, and that's what it is. The politics is doing is what's really killing the country.
I was talking to a friend about that, and I was saying, you know what, this is the challenge. It's because my friend was saying why people are leaving. I said, well, they could stay in build on their land. They can have crops and sell and export. I said, yes, but the government did not give them the opportunity. So they all came to Port-au-Prince thinking they would have a better life in Port-au-Prince. And then that's what Port-au-Prince turned into. There was nothing for them.
Don't get me started on that. You know, we have
that's a long story. That's a long.
We have some friends that call themselves our friends. They're not really friends. With friends like that, we don't need enemies.
So it's the friend is actually Haitian, saying like, you know, we should not Anyway, that's another conversation. But how do we state? I said it's not just the people; it's the government too. There is no social contract between the government and the people, and there should be one. When you are in office, you should have a contract for the people. But let's move on because that's another conversation. So it's and I would like before we and I want to close with you playing something for us. You choose, of course, but I want to ask you just for two more things that I'd like to ask at the end. And how would you describe your life in one word?
In one word,
Yes.
I would say challenge.
Challenge. And how would you describe Haiti in one word?
Challenge too. Same word.
Challenge.
Same word. I mean, I go from challenge to challenge, but
Okay.
Haiti
Yes.
seems to go from challenge to challenge too. So
That's true. That's true.
I'm Haitian, so I'm a good representative in that sense.
That's true. I got it. And then I know you were giving advice to Haitian as well. Before I ask you those last two questions, is there any other advice that you would like to add for those people, specifically those in Haiti?
Those in Haiti, I think it's still the same thing. It's really education. Educate yourself. Now, there is something that there's a great equalizer, and the great equalizer for people now, it's the internet, it's social media. It's because right now somebody in Haiti can educate themselves not only on the system in Haiti, but they can educate themselves online. Okay,
Yes.
so because our way out of our misery is education. It
It's
was when I was living there, and it's still the same thing now. Don't let people put you in a box. In the
yes.
box that they put you in Haiti, you can educate yourself wherever you are. Go for it, and you'll be surprised what you are able to do.
Self-education is powerful.
Yes.
Yes, self-education is powerful. So on that note, I would love to hear what you have planned for us, what you have planned to play for us.
Yes, I'm going to play something for to show you that I'm not a typical pastor.
Well, next conversation, I will ask you what a typical pastor is.
A person who's very stuck up and he's very religious, and everything that he does is religion. Everything
Okay.
he does is to push his agenda. Regardless of where people are, you gotta meet people where they are.
You gotta meet people where they are. That's it.
So in that sense, I'm going to play something by Wodig Milien.
Wodig Milien. Oh yeah, I know Wodig Milien. Yes, that's a long time ago.
But Wodig Milien just died about I think 2 months ago. I think he.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh wow! I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So, he wrote that song called Confession. Confession was he was talking about his girlfriend, who stuck by him no matter what. In Haiti, en Haïti, les parents pas veulent ti filles avec un petit garçon, parents fait ti fille a passé toute misère et ça pour le cas qui était petit garçon. Mais si l'amour d'Igmilien pas quitter monsieur malgré toute persécution que les jeunes les a fait lui en ménage. Donc c'est un chant que haïtien aimait et qui.
I know what you're gonna play now that you gave me the story.
qui traduit en réalité haïtienne et en hommage à Wodig Milien. M'a essayé pour moi ça me fait la musique Wodig Milien, ok? Donc ça va jouer la Wodig Milien, ok? Okay. Let me know if you can hear, okay?
I hear, okay. Yes, it's perfect. I don't know the lyrics well, but as I am hearing you, they are coming back. But I don't have a voice to sing, so I could not sing. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So,
I remember it. As I'm hearing you, I said, "Oh, I wish I could sing."
anyways, that's a short.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Before we close this conversation, anything else you would like to add?
Well, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to talk to my people, and I hope that I have inspired somebody to stick to their plan, to be excellent. There is something called there is a Latin saying that says "Ibi bene, ubi bene, ibi patria," meaning where I am good, that's where I'm well. That's what is my country, what is my land. Yes and no. We are Haitian. Yes, we are doing well here. Let's do as much as we can, but let's also remember Haiti when we achieved. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this conversation. I really appreciate that. It was a pleasure speaking with you. And on that note, as usual, as you all know, I trust that you will enjoy this conversation and be inspired. And we continue the celebration of us. And as always, peace for Haiti and love for Haiti and blessing for all of us.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.